Hey everyone, we are so very excited about today's episode because we have Sean Ross, the amazing co-host of my favorite Survivor podcast, Drop Your Buffs. You probably heard us mention Sean and Drop Your Buffs plenty of times on the podcast, and we actually got to tell Sean in person how much Drop Your Buffs inspired us to create Come On In Queens, and so that felt really full circle for Winnie and I. It was really cool. So today we're going back to the beginning, the Sean Ross origin story, if you will, from interning on Deja The View to hosting a show about female singer-songwriters to launching Drive Your Buffs and eventually being asked to host the official after show for Australia versus the World. It's such a fun and inspiring journey of someone following their passion and finding success through it. If you haven't already, go check out Drop Your Buffs. Sean and Evan bring such a thoughtful, funny, and really brutal take on Survivor from a queer lens, and they're currently covering Celebrity Traders UK, which is just absolute chaos in the best way. Let's get into it. Here's our chat with Sean Ross. Hi, I'm Jacob Grenz.
And I'm Winnie Stone.
And this is
Come on in, Queens.
Queens. Okay, that's not great. We're still learning the virtual format, Sean. And speaking of queens, kings of the Survivor universe and community, we have Sean Ross from Drop Your Buffs on today.
Hi, Sean.
Thank you for having me. Wow, it's not often I guest on another podcast. In fact, I think the last time I said yes to guesting on another podcast was like 3 years ago.
Wow, we're so
Not
honored.
not counting RHAP.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you just did RHAP, so there's very little pressure here. So thank you. I mean, we really do appreciate that. I mean, I have been a fan since, I think around 42 was when I started listening to Drop Your Buffs as an alternative to RHAP commentary because it reflected what I was starting to feel about Survivor. And so we really want to get into that and talking about that. But before we do that, I wanted to go backwards a little bit because I tell this story about my love of The View. I've been sober for 12 years. When I was not sober, and this will kind of give you an inkling of why I got sober, I would grab 2 jugs of wine, and watch all the week's episodes of The View that I had DVR'd on Friday.
You really love the gals.
Yeah, I did love it, especially during the Rosie, Elizabeth, Sherry, Judy, or Judy. Who's Judy?
Judy.
Barbara and Joy era. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Deja The View and it led to meeting Evan?
Yeah. So I have a very good friend here in Toronto who hosted Deja The View. It's now like a little bit defunct. It's not officially over, but it's on hiatus, a very long hiatus. This guy, like, I didn't know him well. We just sort of saw each other out and around. Turned out he lived literally next door to me, and he had started Deja The View. And I was like, okay, we need to be friends because I grew up watching The View, maybe not the same as you were watching it, Jacob, but I was like,
That's
staying home from school and watching The View, right. and I couldn't miss an episode. And so suddenly there was this podcast, and it was gay, and it was hosted by my next door neighbor, and it was discussing The View in a way that I had never had an opportunity to discuss The View. And so I was immediately enthralled and was like, can I come on? I will do your social media for you. And then that led to me becoming the intern of Deja The View. And then how it led to meeting Evan was that in the pandemic, we had to figure out how to record separately, which was like not a thing that people were doing at the time. So we were trying to figure out, how do you do this over Zoom, right? Everybody was in this boat. Yeah. And so it opened up a whole lot of new opportunities for guests and stuff that we hadn't considered previously because we were recording like in a kitchen. And so Evan had always been a fan of Deja The View. And so we asked him to come on. And then that's how we connected. And then it was like a week later that he tweeted, I'm starting my Survivor journey. Where should I start? And I was like, oh, like right place, right time, because have I got a guide for you?
Hold my coat.
The guide is start at season 1 and watch all of it.
That is your guide. I love that. Generally, Winnie, what do you do when somebody says to you where to start with Survivor?
Either Cagayan or Micronesia, but
no.
Generally, I know, I'm bad, but I'm like, I gotta hook them. You gotta get them. But luckily, the people that actually have enjoyed it have said like, well, if we're gonna do it, let's just start from the top.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Usually there it needs to be an entry point season that then gets people to want to go back to season one. Season one is jarring. I think it's perfect. I think it is a work of art in itself, but it's jarring for somebody in 2025 to go watch season one and be like, oh, this is the thing that people are obsessed with and has gone 50 seasons.
Yeah.
Right.
So I get it, but I would never have my entry point season be a returnee season.
Okay, what is yours? Because Kagayad was hard because it is such a good, solid, non-returning season. However, the cop wins. So showing it to my gay friends and stuff, they're like, "Oh, cool, great."
But I think that that's kind of okay because Cagayan, I am not a fan of Cagayan for that reason and many other reasons. Just like very machismo, bro-y. Like Tony is such a big character, but it also has the great like Casses and Jatia, the Jatia moment right up start. Like it can really hook you in, but I think that the benefit of starting there is it is objectively like a good season to watch in terms of the entertainment value. And so if you're not happy with the winner, then you're like, okay, now let me lead you to this next season. It's sort of a long game you can play.
So what's yours?
Mine is always Pearl Islands because it predates all of the returnee seasons. It's so strong in its storytelling and its characters. It's funny. And you do get sort of like one of the first twists with the Outcast tribe coming back. And so they get really like a flavor of how great Survivor can be. But if I can tell that the person is not going to enjoy watching a standard definition season of Survivor,
the square
feels as old, as Pearl Islands, then I've started suggesting San Juan del Sur as an entry point season because it's got the immediate hook of the twist of like everyone's coming in with a loved one. And it's so strong. Like it's so funny. I love that season so much. We just rewatched it a couple of years ago now on the podcast, and it's so rich with material to discuss.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's really rich, and it has John Rocker on there, and it has some characters that you would never see be casted now. That gives you a real good taste into what Survivor used to be.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about Missy because, not to jump ahead to Survivor 49, but this guy who got medevaced because he got a scratch on his foot.
Yes.
It's like Missy broke her foot. Missy broke her foot. And they were like, do you want to stay in? This isn't life-threatening. You will recover from it. It's not going to be comfortable, but the choice is yours, which is what I feel they should have done with Jake.
Absolutely feel like they should have done that. They were building some drama that was not there, right?
I jotted down just a few hilarious things that you said recently, and you said when he got licked on the foot by a snake.
We did.
It's like,
I know.
Oh no! The Pit.
I was thinking back to, it did seem like an episode of The Pit right in the middle, right? But I was thinking back to Guatemala, where they had the pool that had crocodiles around them so that they wouldn't get bit. Like there was some imminent danger really there. And we didn't see that on this season.
They weren't allowed to go into the water. They had to build a net. A netted off pool where the alligators couldn't get in. God. It's kind of like Survivor Africa, where they had to build a fence, right? So the lions couldn't get in.
We've strayed so far from God's light.
Well, we'll get into that later. I want to go back to Deja The View because no, that's okay. Because there was this funny story, I think, about Evan reposting something or kind of like stealing your content a bit. And this is where you kind of like got into it with Evan and then you started a friendship. Tell us about
that story?
I do want to hear about it.
Okay. So when I was the social media intern at Deja The View, I was really just doing tweets. Like we didn't have Instagram. I wasn't fully capitalizing on it yet, but boy, was I on Twitter. And I managed to grow the Deja The View Twitter account like pretty quickly to like thousands of followers because I sort of figured out how to clip out the really quippy moments of The View and make them go viral. And so that's how Evan first sort of got eyes on us. And, Evan also does the same thing. He clips out things and makes them go viral. So sometimes he would see something on Deja The View and then it would kind of a variation of it would show up on Evan Ross Katz's accounts. And you're like, okay, well, like I don't own this content. This isn't my content, right? Like it's a moment and the part of virality is people sort of like taking it and making their own. So that's fine. Never really thought much of that. Then but I started to do edits. So I started to do edits of the things that happened on The View. And there was one particular one. I'm trying to even remember what it was. I think it was about, I think Lupita was on The View promoting Star Wars. And they showed like an image of her character, which is a fully CGI character. Like it's not even human shaped. And Abby Huntsman, the iconic Abby Huntsman, said, "How long was that hair and makeup process for you?" and then there's sort of like this discussion that goes on and on and on. And then eventually she goes, "That's CGI." So I think I had like spliced out the conversation to make it much quippier. So it wasn't like a big edit, but it was an edit I made to make it punchier. And then that clip showed up on Evan Ross Katz. And I was like, "Oh no, I made that." So I publicly called him out. Tagged him, put it in the stories, etc. And he was very apologetic. He was like, "I had no idea, didn't realize that was a clip of yours." And so that's how we became friendly. He owned his shit at the end of the day.
So
I love that.
You were total bitches to each other, and that's how you became friends. And now look at the beautiful marriage you've created.
We're still bitches to each other.
I was going to say, and there are moments. There was a moment in a recent episode where he talked about he didn't have the passwords for the social media accounts, and I heard your blood temperature rise because you're like, I want you to have them though. Like, what do you not
The
understand?
thing is, he does have them. He does have them.
Well, we talk about, this is a hard right turn, but we talk about Shambo's lady mullet a lot in this podcast. If we were to compare Winnie and I to Shambo's mullet, I would be the business side, and you would definitely be the party, right?
Yeah, I'm the personality hire.
Yeah. So do you have that sort of like a chemistry or any comparisons with Evan?
Yeah, I would be the business side as well. Evan shows up. Like, I do all the planning. I sort of like outline the episode. Here's what we're going to talk about. I compile the questions from the listeners. Like, is that clear? Or is that?
That's exactly what Jacob does. Yeah, he just sends the outline. I part
Evan
it.
shows up. Evan shows up, and he's very good at showing up. You know what I mean? Like he brings something to the table that's different than what I bring to the table.
And I think that's what we've learned too. Like what you and Evan complement in each other, we complement in each other, I think. But yeah, you do just kind of show up. And that's enough. Like, it's enough. You bring your style and your observations to the table.
I wasn't even aware of Drop Your Buffs. Once I kind of fell off in the 40s, like I was watching every week, but I was like, I don't want to waste time during the week listening to fucking podcasts about it. I don't care about it.
Yeah, same.
So it was only recently that Jacob turned me on to you guys. I'm a fan now.
Wow. Can I ask you, you said that you fell off in the 40s when?
Okay, so I was in LA and I moved back here in 2021. And I moved to this specific place across the street from my friend's condo so we could be like a COVID bubble. And I had only watched Survivor by myself for 20 years. And they were like, well, why don't we watch it with you? Let's do it. And that's when I showed them Micronesia and Cagayan and stuff. And they're like, great, let's watch this new era. And then it started and I was like, it gets better, you guys. It'll get better. And then like you keep going and cooking, and I'm like, what the fuck? And at this point now, we have gone back and started from the top. So already they're bitching about the things I'm bitching about. Like, I want my survivors starving at the end. I want them emaciated. I want to see their ribs. And now they're like nothing. You know,
they're fine.
They're totally fine.
Weight.
Exactly.
Yes. So what broke you? Like, what was your last episode?
I'm very positive person. And so I really tried to hold on to it. So I can't remember like the exact time, but I know that, you know, and maybe it was once Jacob and I started watching together and I realized that I wasn't alone in like my feeling like icky about it and just feeling like something's missing, something's wrong. I love this. I want to steal this from you. I used to admire the host, you know. I like looked up to him. I wanted to like flirt with him if I was ever on and stuff. And now I'm like, ugh, get away. Like,
Same.
get your ego out of it.
Even going back, like I can appreciate him going back to those early seasons. Like not even early seasons. Like when we watched San Juan del Sur, it's season 29. I'm like, he's doing such a great job. Especially the starkest difference for me is in the tribal councils. Like that's where you really see the change in approach and just general demeanor. And like season 29, he's like drilling into these contestants and like pulling key information from them that he's not able to do anymore, or is not willing to do anymore.
Because it's all butterflies and fanfare and happiness.
And analogies. Yes, analogies. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. He used to kind of disappear a little bit sometimes into the show. Like I feel like JLP does a good job of disappearing into the show at some points.
Did a good job.
We'll talk about that too. But now he is sort of part of the main attraction and the circus of the show, which doesn't do us any good because he's not why we're coming to Survivor.
But he thinks we are. He thinks we are.
But he thinks we are. Yeah. So backing up to your time with Evan, then where did this idea of starting Drop Your Buffs come from after you met him?
Specifically when he reached China.
Oh God.
Is that
great season?
So he started season 1, and virtually every episode he would send me a voice note on what happened, his thoughts, and I would send him a voice note back, and I'd say, oh, here's what was going on at the time, like in the real time. Here's what the online conversation was at the time. And he was like eating that up. And then he got to China and he was so in that he was like, I have to start looking these people up on social media, which until that point he hadn't really. And so he was obsessed with Courtney Yates. So he finds her on social media. At that point, she was like very quiet. She's kind of generally quiet on social media, but at that point she was really quiet on social media. And Evan followed her and she followed him back. And then they started DMing and voice noting. And I was so jealous because I was like, who are you? You haven't even finished the season. Who are you to have a personal relationship with Courtney Yates when I have thought about her every day of my life since China aired? And he was like, we should start a podcast about this because we could get people like Courtney Yates on the podcast. And I was like, well, that's stupid. No, we couldn't get Courtney Yates on the podcast because who's seen Courtney Yates in the past 15 years? And so that started to convince me, but I wasn't fully in yet because I knew the podcast space. I had been listening to Survivor podcasts probably since around the time of One World. There was a podcast I used to listen to called, I think, The Tribe, which is no longer in existence, but they were very much the precursor to Drop Your Buffs. Like they were like bitchy about Survivor because at that point, you have to remember, like in the 20s, we already thought it was on a downward trend.
Yeah, do you remember SurvivorSucks.com?
Yeah. Little did we know how good we had it back then, but I've been aware of the Survivor podcasting sphere and how it's grown and grown and grown and grown. And in my mind, I was just like, there's no way that I can put something out there that's not already being done. So why am I adding something if I'm not adding value? Which is really how I felt. And I don't know, eventually he was just like, let's just try it and see what happens. And so we did. And it turns out we did have something new to add. Some like it, some don't.
Had he been doing podcasts prior to that? Or was that his first?
Yeah, he had his own podcast called Shut Up Evan, which is still sort of running. And he would have guest on a lot of podcasts, yeah.
Yeah, his name has been floating around for years and years. I couldn't tell you where or how, but Evan Ross Katz, very like a part of gay culture.
Exactly, yeah. But here's the piece you're missing is I had a whole podcast in between, which has now been wiped from the internet.
Oh my gosh.
I was the intern on Deja The View. I didn't jump from that to Drop Your Buffs. I had to learn the ropes. I started a podcast from the ground up, learned how to edit, learned how to post. Like, you know what people don't talk about? How complicated it is to launch a podcast. Like the behind the scenes of it, of like starting the whole thing. Right. And Winnie, maybe you still don't know, but
I do the promos, so I'll do like the posts and shit.
She does. Okay. Yes, she does our marketing.
But it's the getting it up off the ground, like getting it on Apple, getting it on Spotify, like distributing it out. Like all of that is, I think there's like a business idea here of how to make that easier. And maybe places like Acast or whatever are making that a little bit easier now. But I find it still overly complicated for like considering how many podcasts are out there and like some of the idiots that have them, I don't know how they got them up.
They're
because it's a
hiring
lot of
people,
work.
I think. Yeah, I think they're hiring people to go out and do the legwork, right? I mean,
Maybe
Amy
so.
Poehler is not going to figure out how to put her podcast on
Well,
Spotify or Apple.
Yeah, but not the Amy Poehlers of the world.
Yeah,
but
of
like
course.
This like random middle-aged man that has a podcast about like business, right? Like
In his basement, right?
and nobody listens to it. Like, how did he get started? Like, how did he do it? It's hard to figure
It's a
out,
mystery.
actually.
Yes.
So I had to sort of like cut my teeth or whatever that phrase is with my own podcast, which was called Miss Thing, a podcast about women and songs. And so it was about
Oh my
female
God, I love it.
singer-songwriters.
We love
And of sort of like of the Lilith Fair era.
Oh, yes.
Because there was this compilation album in Canada, much like the Nows or the whatever other compilation albums there were back then, called Women in Songs. It was only in Canada. And so I think twice a year they started doing it. They would compile the best of female singer-songwriters, basically. And so me and my friend Derek here in Toronto started this series of walking through all the Women and Songs albums and like talking about the songs that were on them. Like this is like 1997, 1998, these albums. And sort of like the cultural moment that was, etc. But I had so much fun. I loved that podcast so much, but nobody listens to it. So I gave it up.
I love that.
I kind of want to go discover it and find it because
It's gone.
that's kind
It's
of
gone.
my genre.
It's wiped from the internet. Trust me.
It is gone. Okay. Because
wiped
I
it from the
went.
internet.
I went to Lilith Fair, and Sarah McLachlan is one of my
What?
favorite artists. Yes, I went to
You
Lilith
did
Fair.
not
Yes,
go to
I
Lilith
did.
Fair. Have you watched the
I'm a
documentary?
little older than you. I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it because people have been recommending it to me. But I did get tickets to Sarah McLachlan because she's coming to Chicago with her to
Yeah,
tour her
she
new
is.
album, and it's good. Like I think I love Sarah a little bit more tortured. She's in a happy
Yeah.
spot right now, and that is a bummer for her music.
Well, look, there's a big relation to Survivor here because this is what that podcast was about was
Yeah.
like, why is it that these artists overwhelmingly, not all the time, like Fiona Apple maybe bucks this trend, but that in the beginning of their career, when they are the most tortured or they've had all this life experience to dump into their first or second albums, they're so
Yeah.
strong. And then as they get successful and more comfortable in life and more stabilized in life, the music sort of loses relevancy. And that's, I think, the case for almost all artists. Again, like Fiona Apple, maybe not Bjork.
Jagged Little Pill effect.
Exactly. Well, yeah, don't get me started on that one.
Well, yeah, and Winnie's having an existential crisis with Taylor Swift right now because of her latest album, and so we're wondering, has her writing been affected because she's happy? Don't we want our pop stars to be happy, but yet it affects the music that we love? We
No,
don't want
we
them to be
don't.
tortured. I know.
Yeah.
It's just a sidebar question. It's a long shot. Do you know the artist, the Canadian artist, Tamara Madeline?
No, I don't.
God damn it. I was hoping you'd be like, no one else knows her, because no one else knows her. My
No,
Yeah.
I don't know her. What's the genre?
it's a very singer-songwriter. My
Sad girl.
now Canadian queer art teacher from high school, she brought a CD one time and I burned it, and I still am obsessed. She was
So
great.
it's old.
Yes. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Do you know? Okay. Well, you're not going to know, but my favorite, I talk like my favorite artist is Alanis Morissette, which is like probably true sort of cumulatively.
Yeah.
But my favorite artist is a very Canadian singer-songwriter named Sarah Slean. Highly recommend.
okay.
looking up Sarah Slean.
All right.
Iconic.
For
so,
sure.
so good. She hasn't put out an album in 8 years, but
Yeah, I don't know
But
about
she's in
the
the
girl I
sad girl
mentioned.
genre.
oh, is she ever?
Yeah. Okay.
She
So we love that.
Nice.
Um,
But that's awesome. Like, I love that because what is it about little gay boys that just are obsessed with female singers? And
I know.
it was always such a point of contention for people. And it was like, okay, but does it make you more of a manly dude to like dudes singing in your ear about love and shit? Like, I don't think
know,
it's
that's
super
kind of gay.
That's so
Yeah.
gay. Yeah.
Like I used to get bullied for liking Alanis Morissette, liking the Spice Girls, and I was like, I'm the one who likes girls.
yes. Exactly.
Yes.
What are you listening
Yeah,
to?
I have Janet Jackson posters on my wall, okay?
Yeah.
So you and your sports stars can go jerk off.
Exactly.
So wait, that's always been fascinating about you, I think, and we share that because we talked about that. Our first episode was actually inspired by your posts about Jeff Probst making the comment about men being the biggest characters in Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
So our first episode was why all the best characters in Survivor are women. So you have a little like inspired podcast from you.
Yeah, well, actually, I just this morning was listening to your Hottest Boys of Survivor episode, where you opened talking about me following you and the Mike Bloom episode. And you know what's interesting is that I was thinking about the Mike Bloom episode when you asked me to come on this, because I've been saying no to people. And what stuck with me from the Mike Bloom episode was that he was like, somebody helped me. And so I want to help others, right? Like somebody helped me get into Survivor podcasting or boosted me in Survivor. Not that I feel like I can boost you in any way, but I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should say yes to people more when they're like asking me for something.
Oh, we love that. Yeah, because he was really in like a similar time that I was going through in my life. It's like, what's next? And, you know, I have all these passions. I'm a musician as well. And so I was like, but I also love Survivor. Is there something there? And so I really loved it. And like you said, it just kind of like inspired me to get this going. And when he was the first person that I met that didn't stare back in my eyes and say, Survivor's still on? Yeah. She was like, it's my favorite show too. Who's your favorite player? Parvati. It was like, it just aligned. Obviously.
Well, and when we started this, I don't like to like put out a bunch of negative energy, but you know, we only had really positive stuff to say about the earlier seasons. And I feel that you guys really helped set the stage for like, it's okay to be bitchy about this show. Like it is falling off a little bit. And it helps that we have things like Australian Survivor to really like we still get satiated from that. So it's like, okay, well, we can kind of dump on American Survivor now because it's just the way it is. And so, you know, we thank you for sticking your bitchy neck out for us.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. But the thing that I always say is that I'm bitchy about the current state of the show because I love the show so much. Yes. I'm not, like, we joke that we're card carrying haters, but we actually, it's coming from a place of love. Like I love this show so much and I know how great it can be. The same applies to, you know, the podcast I had about the female singer-songwriters. It's like, I'm the biggest Alanis Morissette fan, but I'm also the bitchiest Alanis Morissette fan because I know how great she can be and she's not applying herself. So I feel like to look at criticism as hating is too simplistic, and criticism can come from a place of love and wanting to grow. Like I want this show Survivor to be as great as it can be and as great as I know it can be and as great as it has been. And there are very simple ways to get it there, I think. And so somebody's got to talk about that.
Yeah. And it's like Drag Race. I'm never not going to watch it, but it has gotten to the point where now it's like hate watching.
I thought people have been liking Drag Race lately. Or is that like how they like the new era?
The simpletons,
I think that there's a new fan base that has emerged for Survivor as well. And I think they are catering to a very young demographic with the people that they bring on. And I think that's the same with Drag Race. So the fans that have been here for a long time are sort of getting left behind on both shows. Don't you think, Winnie?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's
because they're bringing TikTok stars on.
Anything these days. If they have a great first season, it's like you just kind of have to just be like, I just maybe just love this one season, because it seems like nowadays they just always lose momentum or they end on a cliffhanger and then get canceled. And it just like feels like getting invested in a show anymore is like not worth your time. So we really like appreciate when it's good, but something like this is something I will never not watch. And I don't think it'll ever not be on the air. Because even if it went off the air in the U.S., somebody else will be doing it still. So we're watching it when we're old crones.
Yeah, and Jeff is going to be on his deathbed when it's still on.
Yes, pried that show out of his cold, dead hands.
Well, that answered a lot of the questions I had, because I was like, you always love strong female characters, and so do we. And I wondered where that came from and who were your original strong female characters that you looked up to.
Yeah, well, I think that that's the thing with like we're talking like in any pop cultural sphere, like actresses, singers, and then, we were lucky enough to be sort of like coming up at the time that reality TV was coming up. And so you had this whole new genre of like a real woman to look up to. And I think that for queer people, it's like you can see a strong woman, like the type of person who's typically held down in society, like shine in their respective field and feel inspired by that, right? And so it's in Survivor, it's like I how long do you have? Like it's like season 1, it's like Colleen, Jenna, Kelly Wigglesworth, Sue Hawk. Like
I was
Gretchen, for God's
obsessed.
sake.
A 16-year-old little gay boy obsessed with Sue Hawk. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
obsessed. Yeah. I was obsessed. But I was like, when I cast my mind back to how I was actually feeling, I was 14 at the time. I was really obsessed with Colleen. Like I was really fully on the Colleen train. I still am. I never got off. But there was like the archetype of Kelly Wigglesworth has always stayed with me. Our, I think, second ever episode of Drop Your Buffs was about just Kelly Wigglesworth.
Really?
And we just did a deep
that.
dive on Kelly Wigglesworth. And I don't even know what it was. That it was just sort of, she had this tomboy sort of aesthetic and approach to life. And she was the age of all of those Pagan girls, but didn't have the fun, joyous attitude that they had. She was a very serious person. And to me, I was like, oh, this is almost like those alt girls, like the craft girls, you know what I mean? Like
Really?
those like cool alt girls in high school, who's like, she's not super edgy. She's just more that outdoorsy alt girl. And that's something that I was not and didn't even aspire to be, but I just thought that that was so cool because she clearly didn't give a shit what other people thought about her. She really did her own thing. And you can see that even in the game. Like she is credited as being part of the Toggy 4 Alliance, but for 75% of that season, she's not committed to that alliance. She just ends up voting with them each time. And so I think that her sort of like aloofness towards all of that was very appealing to me. But then you get all of these other, like obviously the Courtney Yateses and the Parvatys and the Amandas come up much later. And all of those women are iconic for their own reasons. And then you've got this whole other archetype of like the Sandra or the Helen Glover. Like there's so many different women to look up to. And it's like, why would I be looking up to these men when I could be looking up to these women?
Exactly. When Australia versus the World first started, I asked you how you would rate the episode out of 10, and you said 11 out of 10. I was like, oh, cool. So a man goes home. I was like, it was my indicator that we were in for a real treat with Australia versus the World.
Yeah, I might have given that one away.
Speaking of men, you said you listened to that episode about Hot Boys. What's your take on Hot Boys? I just heard this morning that you guys had also done an episode about Hot Boys. So
did you?
We did a Sexiest Men of Survivor episode. Yeah, a few years ago now. We've been teasing that we're going to do a Sexiest Women episode of Survivor, but like I'm feel a little bit conflicted on that one because like, is it gross for us to do that?
Yeah.
And then 2, which like I don't really care. And then 2. It's like the thing is my sexiest women of Survivor are going to be like Kathy Vavrick O'Brien. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
oh my God.
There's so much sexy about Kathy Vavrick O'Brien, but I'm worried more about like what people are going to say about that, which I shouldn't be.
Well, that's the thing though. So you're not doing it to objectify like the pretty girls. You're literally saying like, this is what makes this person sexy because it's who they are. So I think I
agree with you on that one.
I just like,
yeah.
I just really want to get a lesbian involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the your hottest boys list, I have a couple things to say.
Okay, good.
Yeah, go
First
for it.
First of all, let's start with the positive. Shout out to
Yay, we're getting a real-time critiques.
Shout out to putting Eric Reichenbach on the list. Like that was pretty iconic. Didn't see that one coming. I love an unexpected pick.
Didn't see that either.
It's true. The green shorts have always been sexy to me. Like there is something sexy about Eric Reichenbach.
I like the way your penis hits your pants.
Yeah.
Those shorts, right? The running shorts, the legs, the body.
So great. And the way, he's just got that like chiseled stomach that just like goes into the shorts
Yes.
in such a specific way.
Yeah, right.
There's something to him.
And he was born that way.
And then
You
Winnie
know.
asked me, what about the hair and face? And I was like, I never made it that far up.
And
Okay,
then
continue.
shout out to putting Dean, my boy Dean, on the list because I think that Dean. I think if you're like making a list of the sexiest people in Survivor, there's like sort of there's hot, there's cute, there's sexy, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like Burton is hot. And by the way, where was Burton in your list?
Because
He
he's
was an honorable
so
mention.
cookie cutter. I like it goes from like so hot that you're just like, okay.
Okay. So no, Burton didn't make the official list, but Dean, when it comes to Dean, it's like Burton is hot, Dean is sexy. Like
Sexy.
Dean exudes a sex appeal like no one else who has ever been on Survivor. And I can't quite explain it. I can't put my finger on what it is, but it's like there's that shot of him. He's like, I think they got comfort items and there's sort of like a lounger type chair and he's like laying back in the lounger and there's something about that that just like activates me.
I met a bunch of people at the season 40 premiere in LA, but meeting him and hanging out with him a little bit, I was just like, just puppy dog eyes, like melted. He's so cute.
What's he like?
Dumb.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's sexy.
Even better. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I noticed about your hottest boys list was that there was a distinct lack of Brett Klauser.
Who's that?
Oh my God, I don't even remember who it is.
Brett Klauser is famously my hottest survivor of
Whatever.
all time.
Really?
Season
I must
19,
look it
Samoa.
up.
He makes it to like the final four. He's actually the guy that you're rooting for to win at the final four.
Oh, you can have
He
that.
was a t-shirt designer.
You can have
Oh my God, I love him. No, he
famously
is.
not gay.
it. Yeah.
He is my type, though. He's like so cute and kind.
He's so cute.
He
And
kind of has Jeremy vibes.
He does
Jacob's
have Jeremy
partner.
vibes. Yeah. Yeah.
he's the kind of guy that you would see on episode 1 and you wouldn't even pay attention to him. Very
Right.
like not even Boy Next Doorsy, because Boy Next Door you do like, oh, who's that? But episode 1 you would never pay attention to him, and as it goes on, like this term island hot, which I think has
I know.
come to mean sort of like getting emaciated and skinny and hot. But actually what island hot is being, to me, is being stuck with somebody for so long that they become hot to you. And I feel like we've all had this in life, like friends or coworkers or whatever, that you spend so much time with them and it's like they're not even that hot, but they just become hot the longer you are exposed to them.
It's how I make people fall in love with me. Just like
Yeah.
You play the long
multiple
social game.
exposures. Yes.
Yeah.
You just wear him
That's what
down.
Brett
Yeah, wear them down.
Gavin was that way to me in Edge of Extinction. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seemed kind
I
of-
can
but
see that.
maybe not
I think
as,
I had a
you know.
little taste of that in Edge of Extinction too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other glaring omissions on you? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
No, I think you got James, which I think is the most important one is James. I'm trying to think of other, like John from San Juan del Sur is so.
Candace's
John,
husband?
John and Jacqueline. John
Oh,
and
no,
Jacqueline.
no.
Remember they got in the fight?
Yes,
And,
yes, John and Jacqueline. Yeah.
John is like so dumb and so all American that like that sort of like all American boy appeal, like that doesn't work on me typically. Like the Colby sort of like yes, I can say Colby's. I know Colby's hot, but it's like it doesn't really appeal to me all that much. But there's something about John that's like coming back to this idea of dumb being sexy is like so dumb that it's like, oh, I can't not find this sexy.
That
So now we know what you need. Dumb.
Yeah, dumb.
the fight where she wouldn't talk to him before tribal, like
Iconic.
that iconic.
Iconic.
Yes, I always think
Iconic.
about that.
She almost blew up their entire game
Because she wanted to-
was giving him the silent treatment.
Right.
She had a point to make, but not wanting to make it.
Yeah.
So I was interested, not to hard right turn again, but I was interested in, as you start this, you start Drop Your Buffs season 41. ironically. So into
yeah.
the new era we go. First of all, when did you start to notice in 41, or if was it 42, that you started to notice the show was falling off? And when did you start to notice that Drop Your Buffs was becoming successful?
So when did I notice that the show was starting to fall off? I think in 42. Because 41 I gave a lot of grace to because they were trying something new. There had been this break. I had also taken my own break. So I stopped watching after Game Changers. I really was not happy about Advantage Geddon. I felt like the game had finally been fully broken to the point where, and I had already had my issues with the way that the show was presented overall and sort of the kinds of people they were casting, etc. So that was really the straw that broke the camel's back, was Advantage Geddon. I finished that season out and I just said, I'm out. I'm done. And so I had this big pause of not watching. I did come back for Winners at War. And then this whole podcast thing happened. So I had my own big break of watching live. And Survivor had taken this break and they had retooled and they were changing even the way they were presenting it and breaking the fourth wall and showing us the cameras. And I found that like kind of exciting at the time. Some of the twists they did, I mean, most of them I didn't love, but I appreciated that they were doing something different. And then when it became apparent that that wasn't going to change in 42 and it had become sort of templatized, and little did I know, like that was going to be the case all the way to 49 and probably 50. That's where I started to fall off, was probably like midway through 42. And at the time, our coverage was pretty positive overall. Like we weren't focusing on the negative, and people who go back, like people who find Drop Your Buffs now, and some of them go back and want to hear everything and they'll be like, whoa, this is so different. Or like, wow, you guys loved that journey that Shan and Liana took in 41. And I'm like, did we? Because I only look back on that with negative feelings. So we were like, I think our coverage was different too. And it didn't start changing until I think 43. And then when did we start to feel successful? I don't know. Because not many people were listening at 41. And I don't think it really changed that much for 42. I do think probably around 43. And what it was I think the alumni interviews we were getting. And I think that those were bringing people because that those people would share it. And then the people who follow them would find us. And it was sort of this snowball effect. And so there's not like a specific moment that I thought, oh, we're successful now. Like our growth was so gradual. And when I look back, probably 44 was the first time that I felt like, oh, people are actually paying attention to us and care what we're saying. But it ebbs and flows. Like in 47 and 48, I feel like people were paying less attention to what we were saying, either because they didn't care about those seasons or because what we were saying has gotten stale, which it completely has, which is why we've quit recapping 49. But
more on that later.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not like I feel like we're this beacon in the Survivor fan community or anything like that. I feel like we have just carved out a very niche corner of the Survivor fandom online, and the people who feel similarly to us find their way in. They get drawn in either through word of mouth or whatever it might be. And unfortunately with that, like all these like random Reddit mouth breathers also will come in and out and then we have to hear from them too.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in your interviews with Rob Sister Nino, he has kind of taken a turn towards seeing more of Drop Your Buff's perspective. So I think you're almost unlocking something in people when they talk to you that they already know. But I feel like RHAP is kind of like still, you remember The Secret, where that whole idea that if you just think positive about everything, that it will be positive and you'll get a car.
Yeah.
They still kind of have that like The Secret mentality where it's like, oh, we can't like bash this thing. And we talked about it earlier. You can bash this thing because you love this thing and you know what it's capable of.
I mean, I think there's different things going on there for RHAP. Look, I think that I don't know this. I have no like confirmation of this. I think for Rob Cesternino, I think he he has the way that he feels about the show actually, and then the way that he talks about the show as a professional commentator.
Yeah, and as like the figurehead, he has to kind of keep everything copacetic.
Exactly. Yeah. And he has relationships with the network. He has relationships with the host. He has relationships with the players. That's where it becomes tricky. Like, once players started really caring what we said about them, that actually became less fun for me. And like, to this day, when players care what we say about them, it's not as fun for me, because I'm like, one, well, I could count to 10, but like, you've put yourself on TV. You've done this amazing thing. No matter how you do, you've achieved something that thousands and thousands and thousands of people hope to achieve. Just enjoy it. And, you know, we have a reputation. So why are you coming to us if you're going to feel some type of way about the thing that we're saying? And so I love when the players, there's great players, like Kendra always comes to mind. Kendra is so amazing, and she has heard all the shit we talked, and we talked some shit about her as well, and she loves it. Like, she eats it up. There's lots of players like that, and that's fun. It's the players that come in, like the Rachels from 47, who aren't so happy with what we have to say.
You have to give it up, because yes, you're a character now. Like, you're a character for the show. We know, like, that you're human.
Sorry, but like, when you're a winner, and there's a lot like this, I'm not singling that winner out, but like, there's a lot of winners that are like unhappy with what I'm like, you have a fucking $1 million in the bank. Like, shut up and go spend it.
Relax and move on.
Get a life.
Yeah. Well, like Savannah chiming in recently with the torch snuffer that Jacob had to explain to me.
Sophie chiming in, Savannah chiming in.
But Savannah chiming in was like, girl, don't you have like you have to kind of upkeep your reputation for a little bit since you're in the next season too? But she was like happy to be like, well, yeah, what? It's like, girl, no. Stay out of this.
I don't get it. It seems it feels masochistic to me.
It does feel like that. It feels masochistic to be following, and even in the Substack, right? Some of the 49 contestants.
I don't know who's in the Substack.
Okay, you don't watch it.
I've done some searching around to try to find. But these people famously know how to make burner accounts and hide their identity. Not that well, but
it's one of my favorite things about Survivor and Drag Race is that, because it's just a reality competition show, the players are so accessible. And I'm not one. I don't put like celebrities on a pedestal. So like, people like that, it's like, it could be you and me. So let's shoot the shit. Let's be able to pick on each other and be okay with it.
Yeah, totally. I kind of like, I don't like that they're so accessible. I feel like I long for the days of, like, let's go back to Survivor China. You think Courtney Yates was available online to talk to during Survivor China? Like, you think PG was available? Amanda Kimmel, for God's sakes. Like, these people, you couldn't reach them. They were these enigmatic figures, and it almost made them more like celebrities to me than they are now, and sometimes even more than actual celebrities, because it's like an actual celebrity like Angelina Jolie. If I'm not seeing her and I'm not reaching her, I know there's another movie around the corner. I'm going to see her soon, and she's going to go on this whole press cycle and talk. It's like Amanda Kimmel's on this 3 seasons in a very short time. But maybe she's not the best example, but like Courtney Yates is on China, and then maybe that's it. And then luckily I get surprised and she's, down, 5 seasons later on Heroes versus Villains, but it's like, and then that's it. And she does the press around it, and it's like, I wouldn't even know how to find her, like, if I tried.
You're totally right.
And you have tried.
And maybe that's that's definitely part of this, like, the falling off in the 40s, because obviously we can see that people they just want to make friends and they want to get followers or whatever. But also because they're so accessible, that kind of takes the sheen away.
Yeah, totally.
Right. It takes the mystery away. I do want to talk a little bit about Australia versus the world and how that opportunity presented itself. How that opportunity presented itself. I don't know that you ever talked about that with Australia versus world coming to you and having this official after show.
Okay. Yeah. So it's an amazing, still sort of out of body experience that happened to me. And the way that it came about is that I think it goes back to the decision to start covering Australian Survivor in the first place, because we did that with the season that Sandra was on, Blood versus Water. So it felt like this moment at the time in the fandom, which was just after 41. So you just had this new era launch, and then there's sort of rumblings online that, you know, the Queen Sandra, who's just come off of a dismal performance in Winners at War, is gonna go to another country and play their version of Survivor. And so that felt very exciting. So I thought, you know, I've just started this podcast. I've just started, like, learned how to recap a show. And I was like, I want to recap Blood versus Water. Oh my God, I'm giving you like the really long answer.
No.
Did you watch Australian
should
Survivor
watch
before that, or was that your first season?
I had tried to watch season 3, the one with Russell, when it was airing, and I couldn't get past like the first couple episodes. Like something was really like there was a dissonance while watching it, and I think I actually pointed at the time to the music. I thought the music was too much, and that the edit was trying to tell us too much with the music. But I've actually grown to really love the music. Australian Survivor. But at the time, I was very anti that approach because I prefer much of an. I would prefer there be no music, right? Like, don't tell me what to think with the edit. I'll make my own mind up. Anyways, so but then I had watched the Brains versus Brawn season, the first COVID season they did in the Australian Outback. That was my first full season, George's first season. And I was like gripped, beyond gripped. Oh, and another omission from your Hottest Boys episode is the hottest guy to ever play Australian Survivor is Emmett from that season.
We had just started watching, well, I had just started watching Australian Survivor, so I was not yet familiar with the hotness that was the men on Australian Survivor. And the Speedos.
So hot.
And he's such a douchebag. Like, he's such a douchebag.
So, Sean, I get a pattern here. Douchebag and dumb.
Yeah. It's the fantasy. But, okay, sorry. Let me continue this. I started recapping that with Ricard from 41, and the players somehow found that. I think because Ricard had just played and was posting about it, and they were like, oh, now this guy who just played is talking about my season. I think that's how that happened. And in particular, Sam Gash and Mark Wales became big fans of ours. We won't talk about Mark, but Sam in particular really enjoyed our coverage and was sort of like after every episode would sort of be in our DMs, like sending voice notes being like, oh, well, like the thing you didn't see about this. And at that time, I thought that was so cool. Like I had never really had that experience with a Survivor player. Now I'm like, enough. But at the time, I was very starstruck, and it was so fun. And I have so much respect for Sam. I think she's one of the great players of Australian Survivor, deserves to come back, want her to come back so badly. And so she then started to boost it. And then other players like Chrissy Zaremba started boosting it, and Mark started boosting it, which then I think caught the attention of the people who make the show. And so the executive producer who stepped in after that season for Heroes versus Villains was David Forster, and his husband was a huge fan of Drop Your Buffs. And so David, I didn't know that he was the executive producer, and he was like always in our DMs, like, and I'm like, what is this like cameraman want to talk to us for?
Wow. Okay.
And he was like, while Heroes versus Villains, like, in my opinion, one of the greatest seasons of Survivor of all time, like up there with the original Heroes versus Villains, is airing. He's like, so when are you guys going to have me on your podcast? And I'm like, I'm not going to have you on my podcast. Like, I don't know who you are. And finally, he's like, I know you guys really want buffs, because that was like a running joke. We were like, I want a villains buff, right? And he was like, I know you guys really want buffs. If you let me come on the podcast, I'll give you buffs. And I was like, fine, like I'll schedule, like how's next week? So I schedule him, and then I'm like go to Google, like David Forster, Australian Survivor. I'm like, oh, he's the sole executive producer of this show. He makes this show. So I had no idea. So then he came on, we had a great interview, and then he's just kept up with us and really enjoyed our content. So when they were looking for something to do to replace Jury Villa, because they had decided they weren't going to do Jury Villa for Australia versus the World, they had thrown around this idea of doing sort of like an on-location after show. And they said, like, well, who would be appropriate and available to do it. And so David Forster said, I know just the guys, it's Drop Your Buffs. So he contacted us and he just said, he sent us a message and he said, would you guys be available at the end of September? Last year he sent this, like probably in July. I had a whole vacation planned like for the week after. He was like, would you be able to talk like next Thursday? I was like, well, I'm going to be in Europe, like on vacation. So like this timings just aren't going to work out. Is there any way we could talk before? And he's like, yeah, well, let's just talk right now. So he told me what it was. And I was like, okay, canceled my trip because if I had gone on the trip, I wouldn't have had the vacation time to go do the thing. I would have been totally out. So I fully canceled my trip on like the hope that it hadn't even been greenlit, on the hope that this would happen. And it ended up happening. So it was really David Forster we have to thank and his husband for being fans of Drop Your Buffs and sort of like taking a chance on us, because what he said was like, there's obviously many people that they could go to, especially like former players and such. And what he said about Drop Your Buffs is that he feels that in the podcasting world, it's Drop Your Buffs who get what the show is doing and get that this is an entertainment show at the end of the day. And that's always the lens that we come to Survivor with. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit of strategy or whatever, but at the end of the day, we want to be entertained. This is television. And so he really liked the angle that we brought to that. And he said, everything that we put into the show, like purposefully for that reason, you guys pick up on and talk about. So he felt we were quite in sync with the making of the show and like the intention behind the making of the show. So that's how that happened. And then they looked at us and they were like, well, we've got an American and a Canadian here. Like, what are we doing? This is an Australian show. So they were like, we need an Australian on the panel. So they were like, we're going to add somebody to the panel. And we're like, who? Like, this could go terribly. Like, what do you mean you're going to add somebody to our panel? And they came back and they said, it's Nick Idanza. And I was like, well, I barely know anything about him. Like, yeah, I've watched his seasons, but like, I don't know this guy. And that was absolutely magical. And Nick is like a friend for life and like truly a soulmate. Like, I love Nick so much. It couldn't have worked out better.
I love it. I had no idea that it was so storied. I didn't know that you'd been covering it for so long. Didn't know that the exec producer is a gay, so that's probably why Australian Survivor's better.
Exactly.
And if I had to guess, I thought it was because you had the guts to stand up to the host of American Survivor. So I was like, I bet they fucking liked that. And they were like, you know what? Why don't you come over here?
This is the thing, is like, I don't know how much they were aware of what Drop Your Buffs was outside of our Australian coverage, which is like, we love Australian Survivor. So it's all just, it's very positive. It's like, we love this show. Here was the funny moments, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, do they know, like, we're beefing with Jeff Probst? Like, do they know that? Do they care? I honestly, like, quite frankly, I don't think that they're aware.
Well,
I think they're aware now.
So I actually watched a lot of Australian Survivor just by like torrenting and stuff back when it was out. But then that 3-week period that Paramount Plus put on South Africa and Australia, and I was like, great. And I started sending it to friends, being like, if you can't get into US Survivor, like, watch this. This is great. And then when it got ripped away, I was like, that's Jeff. That was Jeff going, because I watched South Africa, and they were doing things, and they had done them before they started doing it on US New Era. Like the Journeys, or I don't remember what it was, but there was a lot of little things that was like, nuh-uh. Jeff was like, get that fucking thing off of this streaming service right now.
Yeah. And he doesn't want other people to see how great this show has become.
And he doesn't want anybody else casting Survivor casts.
Yeah. He doesn't want the competition, which, like, on one hand, I can respect. Like, he's put a lot of work into this show for 25 years. It's not the original version of the show, but it's sort of become seen as the original version of the show, and in many ways has sort of like taken on that role in terms of the way that they've developed the show over the years. So I can respect that he has a sense of ownership over the show. At the same time, like, If you're worried about the competition, make your product better. But that's
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't kick him out of
Right.
bed, metaphorically and for real.
Wait, still?
with the scaly neck.
With the
You said that's
with the
another thing I wrote
filled up
down.
phase?
You said, much like the host, we're refreshing our look. We talked about that a lot
was-
with my
yeah.
my normie friends. That like we were like, oh, Jeff, and then eventually we were like, okay, his face is set a little bit. It's a little more approachable now.
Not when he went into the pit episode and we saw him in the emergency room. It was full
The thing
Those
that's
filler.
overhead
so
lights.
wild about that
Yeah.
is like you can look, because obviously a big part of my job, my many jobs on Drop Your Buffs, is making the memes. And so I have to really go through with a fine-tooth comb, frame by frame, these images from the veterinary hospital that they were in. And it's like there's something so confusing about the timeline of events. And I'm not like putting a tinfoil hat on or anything like that, but there's something a little off about how quickly Jeff gets there in full beat. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like he's put on the uniform, like the skin is matte on the face,
he's painted for the back row.
He had said that they were moving right into the challenge, so I'm sure he was like already ready. But he was probably like, "Score! This is happening now, and I already have my makeup on. Let's get it."
Yeah.
I like your conspiracy theory better. That they reshot the whole thing.
So many,
Is that where you're going?
So many things that don't make sense. Where it's like, how?
Well, and in the end, it was all about feelings. Had nothing to do. There was no venom involved. No one's life was at risk.
There was no
No.
danger whatsoever. And like we've made time to put all of these cameras and boom operators into this room. We're making sure that they're all in the shots with him. Like nothing here feels like an emergency.
Is he breathing? Is he breathing?
Yeah,
The funniest part
he's
is
walking
fine.
around.
Jeff also said something about, I know you may not have seen the scurry around you and all the busyness. You may not know what's happening. I was like, did he fall unconscious? He was awake.
Yeah.
Like,
I
he
was
saw
so
it.
confused.
Yeah. Did you see the AI image that Jake put out of himself
No.
saying unfinished business?
Oh, yes. Only because you posted it. I did see that.
Yeah. He's got a torch coming out of his shoulder.
Is he promoting himself for a returning season?
Yeah, he's promoting
Okay.
himself to come back. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
God.
that is
And they'll bring him back
probably
too.
going to happen.
They'll absolutely
yeah. Oh,
bring him
yeah.
back.
But that could be a good returning season. Unfinished business.
Well, that's what they need to start. They need to start doing. Returners.
You know what? I don't hate unfinished business as a concept. I
Yeah.
just hate him being back with unfinished business. Like, what unfinished business? He didn't hide enough shoes? Like, what was the business? Like, what was your plan?
Oh my
Jake?
god!
Well, speaking of 49, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't really want to go too long on it because I feel like we would just like devolve. But you've decided to stop covering it on Drop Your Bombs. You're moving on to bigger and better things. UK Celebrity Traders. We're going to watch it. We'll find a way to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
What was the decision? What was the breaking point? Like,
Okay, so we have been thinking about this since before 47. Okay,
Yeah.
so at the time, I believe maybe it was 48, but we've been talking about it since around 47, where we were really down on 47 and the fandom was really high on 47. And so we felt like disconnected in a way from what the people wanted to hear, maybe. Because before that, it felt like when we were vibing with the season, the world was vibing with the season. But with 47, it felt like the world was vibing with the season in such a high way and we were so down that like this suddenly wasn't becoming fun for anybody involved. And so sort of by the end of 47, Evan actually made the call. He was like, I'm not coming back for 48. I'm sorry, I'm done recapping. And I thought like, well, I can't imagine the podcast without recaps of Survivor. Like, what even is that? And so I had committed, well, I'm going to still recap 48. I'll just have guests or whatever. But he was out. And then something brought him back in. And oh no, it did happen with 47 because what brought him back for 47 was John Lovett. He wasn't going to do 47, and then John Lovett was announced, and then he did it, and then John Lovett went home in the first episode. So Evan got screwed over. But then it happened again for 48, and he was. I think I just convinced him, like, let's do an episode or two and see what it's all about. And then we kind of got stuck in a cycle. And 48 was so dreary, like so miserable. And every time we would be logging on to record, neither of us wanted to be there really. And like we like catching up and talking to each other, but we didn't want to be there talking about this show. And so after that, we said, well, what are we going to do with 49? It doesn't feel fair, especially with 50 coming up, to just wholly disregard it. So we said, okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to give it a chance, give it the first 2 episodes. And if we're not vibing with it, if it's the same old shit, then we will skip the rest and we'll actually do it this time. And so we made that very clear to everybody, like putting it out in the world as like a self-accountability thing of like, we said we were going to do this thing. And if it's not great or we're not loving it, then we'll actually follow through on it. So that was always the intention. And then I missed episode 2 because I was traveling. And so that was supposed to be the breaking point, right? Like episode 2 was going to be the final recap. But I was like, well, I can't go out on that. Like, I'm not even on it. Like I need my final words here. So we said, okay, we'll do episode 3. And thank God it happened in that way and I don't need to go into the whole backstory of this lore. But if anybody wants to hear it, they can listen to our final 49 recap. But
go listen
thank
to it.
God it happened that way because Sophie Clark replaced me on episode 2. And then it incited this entire drama with the Survivor 49 cast and a secret burner account.
Love the mess.
And trying to drag Sophie Clark. And I thought, thank God we didn't go out on episode 2 just being like, what a dreary episode. Like, we went out with a bang with episode 3, sort of unveiling the lore of the burner account torch snuffer and having a lot of fun with that. So that's sort of like what has happened. And I think we're going to stick to this. I'm going to keep watching. Evan's going to keep watching. We'll still talk about it on the Substack, like behind the paywall. And that's not some kind of like money grab we're trying to do. It's just that like, if we're going to talk about it, we want the discussion to sort of be led by the listeners. And the listeners that we actually trust, who are the subscribers to the podcast, like the actual, the real Buffies, do you know what I mean? It'll be led by what they want us to talk about. We're not going to go through like the beats of the episode, but we'll comment on the season as we move forward, just like in a more loosey-goosey after show kind of way. Like we can be a little bit more flippant in the after show.
Well, listen, we're probably never going to do like full on episode recaps because that's too much for us.
I was going to ask you about that.
But we're going to, there's going to be times where we're going to want to just, word vomit some bitching. And we would love to poach you. Have you come on and bitch with us.
I would think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Wait, why don't you recap?
Jacob doesn't want to
so I have I have an answer for this. Because one of the things was that you were already doing it really well, and our Hap's already doing it really well. So we thought, but I don't know. We thought being topical, and also we're kind of figuring out who we are, right? We like the traders. We wanted to do a reality competition. We have done like self-improvement guests. We've done Drag Race. We've done traders.
Well, they call the Common in Queens, so we could have like more of an umbrella of like queer culture shit.
And and shout out to Ricard for getting the guy strap, because that was why we were able to do Come On in Queens. That's why we thought of this name. But the Survivor episodes are the ones that are the most watched. So we're kind of now like, what about the interviews? And that's where for season 2 we're like, let's do interviews. Let's see how it goes. And I mean, Winnie was a drag queen, so she has MC experience. I interview people for work, and so we're like, why not? Let's just do it. We're still getting our legs with the interviewing, but it's working out. Like, you got Kirby in, I got Caroline, and now you, Sean. So I think we're going to stick with the interviews because we love hearing about people's stories.
I DM'd Carolyn this morning from bed.
Yeah.
I was like, hi, I'm just popping my head in. I'll circle back.
And she's also sober. She would love to talk about being sober for hours and hours.
Yes, I said that we're more than willing to talk about recovery.
So that's kind of a long-winded answer.
With the recaps is like, guess what? There's a gap in the market now.
Well, I know that's kind of changed since you're not doing it.
I mean, Sean Ross says we should. I think I want to invest in an editor.
I actually don't think you should. Like,
I mean, honestly, like,
okay.
I don't know if we had a lot to say.
This is the thing with the recaps. It's really good for the podcast. So do I have concern that our podcast is going to drop off as a result of not recapping 49? Kind of, yeah. Because one, what are we going to do? Like, thank God we've got Celebrity Traders. But guess what? Like, I've recapped the Traders UK before and nobody listens to the recaps. I don't think we have a presence in the UK. I don't think people know that we exist. Even though it's like the most watched show in the UK, I think they've got plenty of coverage, right, that they're familiar with. So it doesn't do that well. And it doesn't draw like new eyeballs to the podcast in any kind of way. Not that it really matters. We don't even have like advertisement. It doesn't matter whose eyeballs are on the podcast, but you do want to, like, if you're putting effort into something, you want to be reaching people.
Right.
But Survivor recaps do really well. Like, people, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they want to hear people talk about Survivor. That's always been the bread and butter outside of like the White Lotus. Talking about the White Lotus does really well because it's got such a massive following and like cultural relevancy, etc. But it's really like the bread and butter has always been Survivor US recaps.
Well, and I feel like there's just I feel like for a while, I know I personally was like still like, well, I want to leave the option open to maybe like go on someday, or we don't want to get on Jeff's bad side because we know what he can do behind the scenes. But now I just feel like we have a little bit more license to actually say how we feel about it, and we've like shifted and we have more fun throwing popcorn at the screen and bitching about it because it's just not getting any better.
No.
So
yeah, and with Jeff like doing that whole thing with Parv and pulling her book content, that was like, we don't care about talking shit about Jeff now. One more thing on the recaps. I kind of am like you. I have to be excited to do this, and I've been very excited about like meeting people like you and getting to talk to you and Caroline and like Kirby. I don't get excited about talking about 49. So I would have to be excited. Fair. So yeah. That's the current problem. We'll
look, the benefit is from like a podcasting business perspective is that it grows a podcast. It gives an outlet for a podcast to really grow. If we didn't start recapping, like we wouldn't have an audience, I think. And then the recap audience like comes to the interviews and they come to the other things and they start subscribing. Like it's a really easy net to sort of bring people into your world. That's truly the benefit, and that's why we keep doing it, is like to continue sort of like the satisfying the audience that we have found, but it's also a good way to find those new people who like belong here, and sort of like keep them here.
That's great advice. I suggested to Jacob that I was like, well, we could just like do a live stream after each episode. And he was like, absolutely fucking not. It's like, we need to edit.
So I can retch into the mic for an hour.
Do you know what also does really well is recaps of the Traders.
Oh,
the
yes.
The Traders recaps do very well. Yeah.
I also listened to your Traders recaps, and they were really good from season 2. So do we want to do a lightning round, and we'll actually try to make it through some of these? I have
more questions for you. Do you have a minute?
Look I have pit stains. So I went from like a long sleeve shirt with Caroline, and I got pit stains. It's just me. I'm pitting out.
I always turn off my AC when I record because it's right here and it goes.
Yeah.
So I'm always very, very hot when recording. But I have a question. I'm not done asking questions about.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I get your take? Because I didn't have time or mental energy to consume any content around Australia versus the world except what I was making. So can I get your takes on Australia versus the world?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Amazing, beautiful, wonderful, magical, awesome, so much fun, such a breath of fresh air. We were very concerned about the 16 days. We were like, well, what the fuck is that going to be? And
Yeah, what are they
we
doing with 16?
had a heart attack every episode because obviously we wanted Parv to make it as far as she could. But we loved it. We loved it. And we got some new people hooked, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a really good entry point for people. Like, really good. Because it's so short. The cast is incredible, as good as you're ever going to get in terms of a cast. And they do such a good job. Like I said, don't show somebody Micronesia as your first episode or Heroes versus Villains or whatever. But I think you can show them this because they do such a great job of explaining who these people are and why they belong here and what from their past is relevant to the game that they're playing now. That it's so satisfying. I think even for any of those players that I didn't know Rob. Like I was not familiar.
I'd watched his whole season. His whole season. I watched the New Zealand Lisa's whole season. I watched that on the plane. I didn't know Cass or the other guy.
Yeah, how great was
the other guy?
She was amazing. She is like
Cass was so
the French Canadian Parv.
Yeah.
But I knew the whole cast. If the episode where we talk about the cast preseason and me gushing over Kirby was what led her to interact with us, and then we started talking, and then we were like talking on the phone. And
wow,
she really has an affinity for Winnie.
And then to see them go on together and immediately be attracted to each other like that, I was like, this is heaven. I want the exclusive on getting them together on a podcast for the first time.
Yeah,
that's actually a really good idea. Maybe I'll do that.
Do it.
Okay, Evan.
I've reached out to Parv. I don't know. I have to call in a favor at some point to get her on this podcast. But, she's a very busy lady. And also, she does podcasts all the time. Yeah. So
this will help, though. She'll be like, wait, Kirby was on and Sean was on. I can't let them show me out.
And yeah. But yeah, just to add to that, why I was so thrilled that you were part of this, because I know your background with loving strong women and knowing in the first few episodes that it was all for the gays and the girls. You talked about it being a different season potentially if it was a different boot order, and maybe we wouldn't have had the season that we did. But I don't know. I mean, every character was so strong on there. There really wasn't a dud for me that I think any way it would have gone, it would have been a great season. Of course, the story of Suri and Parvati, by the time we got to the butterfly scene with Parvati, we were both crying because it just encapsulated, and you thought of this meme. I thought of it, but I did it incorrectly. It reminded me with the butterflies of her last page of her book.
This is the thing.
Goodbye to the Black Widow.
Yeah.
But I misquoted it and I put it up. No. I misquoted it. I put it up and two of my friends called me and were like, did she die? And I was like, oh my God. I understand that if I post it from a personal perspective, and I know her and people know that I know her, it could have looked like I was memorializing her. So it was glad that you did it, and you did it way better, and you also quoted it correctly because it was rest in peace, I think, to the Black Widow.
No, it said rest in peace is giving dead. So I think it said in loving memory of the Black Widow.
In loving memory, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, rest in peace is dead. That is dead. No, I had that in the back of my mind the whole season because obviously I knew how the season turned out. I didn't know who was going to win, but I had a pretty good sense that Parvati was winning.
You had a hunch.
And so I was like, this is going to be perfect. I was like, I have to use the in loving memory of the Black Widow. I was all ready to go, but I was like, but how am I going to present it? Because I can't put it over a black and white photo of Parvati because she'll look dead.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there has to be just the right image. So then the butterflies came on and I was like, oh, that's second I saw the butterflies, I was like,
nailed
this
it.
is it. This is the one.
Jacob often, I'm going to call you out. He often had to look at spoilers every new episode so that he didn't lose his mind during the episode with us.
Do you know what's wild about the spoilers? The spoilers so I have never ever looked at spoilers, certainly not intentionally. I think I got one season.
It was only a spoiler because we watched it later in the day and it had already aired that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But not the preseason spoilers.
Yeah, it wasn't like a full
No.
Oh, wait, yeah.
I did the preseason spoilers. Okay. Yeah, I knew who the Final Four was from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But I didn't tell anybody, but I didn't want to be anxious that Parv was going home every episode. And I was like,
Yeah,
I can't
fair.
do it. Like, it won't be as
Fair.
fun for me to watch.
The spoilers were like coming out so fast, and like I even really know where to find. Like somebody sort of pointed me to where they are, and they're like on some bizarre like old school, like it looks like old school Survivor Sucks sort of, but it wasn't that. But apparently this happens with every single Australian Survivor season. Like
Really?
every single one fully spoiled ever since All Stars.
The
And nobody
leaky
knows who it is.
cameraman.
But it's like there's somebody on the inside doing this.
The dream
There's
team.
somebody- because it would be like tribal council would happen, somebody would go home. By the time I was in bed, the spoiler was up.
God damn.
Seriously.
People suck.
Oh, the call's
It's
coming
wild.
from inside
But
the
then
house.
what's really confusing about it is that they weren't all right. They weren't all correct. Like there was like a few that were like this, like the boot orders were flipped or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was this pervasive spoiler out there that I had seen even just from like I think like listeners sent it to me, which like never do that, please. But that just said Parvati and Shawnee run the season. And I was like, I know Parvati runs the season, but she's just running anything.
Yeah.
Like, where did so it's confusing because it's like they're so accurate and so fast that like you feel like it's an inside job, and yet they're also like the tone of them are so wrong that you're like,
Yeah.
wait, like there's some kind of like broken telephone going on here.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I could ask you a million questions, but
I mean,
we could let's play the rapid fire.
Well, yeah, because we want to have you back, even though you had to think about it.
no, you don't have to answer anything right now. But
You don't have to answer right now.
I really
okay.
like your energy, and I really like the knowledge that you bring. Like I always feel like I'm in good hands with like when you are able to spit facts and stuff. Like us, I mean, we literally had to look up like 5 people you mentioned.
That's another issue is the facts. Like we
No,
don't have a
but
mind for facts.
No, but I know the facts that I know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I was listening to the Hottest Boys episode, and somebody said Jay Byers. Was that the name?
Oh, Jay Byers.
Yes.
Yeah, One
I don't know
World.
who that is.
Yeah,
I've
You
never
would
heard that name
remember
in
him.
my life.
Yeah.
You look them up, and you're like,
So
oh.
like we all know what we know. And
That's
don't
true.
know what we
That's
don't
true. It's true. And I couldn't tell you more than 5 people from the new era. Okay.
know. Lucky.
So we want to know who is on your Survivor Mount Rushmore across all franchises.
Oh, across all franchises.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair. Parvati.
Okay. Well,
No, it is fair. It's fine.
life isn't fair.
Parvati, Sandra. Parvati, Sandra, George, and Sari. Parvati,
There you
Sandra,
go.
George, and
There you
Sari.
go. Love that. Girls with the gays.
Top 3 seasons of Survivor across all franchises.
It's not fair. Heroes versus villains. Heroes versus villains. And China.
Really?
China.
I just
love
I
that.
could go back and forth between China and Panama. I think that like often when somebody asks me what's my favorite Survivor season, I'll say Panama just to be kind of difficult, honestly. But because I genuinely think that Panama is the funniest season of Survivor, and I'm very drawn to the comedy of Survivor. And Panama's so funny. The only knock against it is that tribe that's not Kasaya is so boring. The Terry Dietz tribe is so boring that there are a handful of episodes where they lose in the pre-merge, and it's like dreadful to get through. But everything aside from that is like 150%, like so good. But anyways,
Is Panama-
all that to say, I didn't choose it, but
Is Panama
China.
Sari's first season?
yes, yeah.
No.
Yeah, when she's put on the
Oh.
old lady tribe when
Oh,
she's like
Terry.
30.
Yeah, 30 and on the old lady tribe.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
But famously, like Courtney Merritt, the fire dancer,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and Shane telling her he's going to come to her shitty apartment and kill her, and she says, my apartment's not shitty. And all of that happens in the same episode as Bruce's medevac because he can't poop, and Courtney finding out what a poser is. It's her.
It's her.
That is the best episode
It is a
of
great
Survivor ever.
It's a great season. The Rash.
I can't believe
yeah.
Micronesia didn't make your list. That's my number one.
No,
I mean,
because
the Black Widow
no,
Brigade.
this is the thing about Micronesia. Micronesia's not as good as people remember, I think. And like, I know you're showing it to everybody, but you end Micronesia with a very good taste in your mouth, but that pre-merge is a little bit bleak. Like, there's so many episodes similar to Panama that you're spending with the tribe of fans who are never really developed outside of Kathy and Chet. And even like Natalie, she's not a well-developed character in that season. She suddenly springs up in the last 3 episodes. But any of those episodes you have to spend with the fans are like pretty boring.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I think they're so funny, though. They're so funny. Like the episodes of all the rain and Kathy asking Chet, her first homosexual friend. Like, it's just a lot of like comedy in the first half, but I do get it. Like, in that back half of Micronesia is where the action happens. In the first half, it is a little bit of a slog. I can see why you could say that.
It's just imbalanced in terms of like the joy we're having with each of those tribes, I find. So it just like, it's a little bit of a bumpy road to get there, I think.
Well, those are great picks. And I still have to, and Caroline asked this too, I still have to watch Heroes versus Villains, both of them in Australia. I skipped to Titans versus Rebels because I needed to like do my research.
Sorry, what did you say? But what you need to watch what?
The Australian.
Australian Heroes
Oh my God, I
versus
thought
Villains.
you said both of them.
No, sorry.
There's just this that one season he missed out on. He just like never got around to it.
The one season happens to be Heroes versus Villains that
Actually,
I never
like
watched.
saving
favorite
Heroes
season.
versus Villains would be so iconic.
Like,
imagine being like, I've watched everything except Heroes.
I've watched
versus
everything.
Villains.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Okay, so top 3 horror movies.
What? Oh, okay. Top 3 horror movies? Shit. Okay, there's this movie called Blue Ruin. Have you ever seen this?
No. I'm surprised.
Have you heard of the movie Green Room?
Yes. Love that.
So it's by the same director.
Okay.
I think it's the movie prior to Green Room. And no movie has ever... I'm like fact checking the name of this movie. Blue Ruin. Yeah.
You're like, no movie has ever had so much impact. Let me look up the
Well,
name.
I've only watched it once, but it has always stuck with me because it just grabs you.
Yeah.
And keeps you the entire time. Like, I was just like sweating the whole time watching it.
It's on Prime.
Yeah,
Oh
I'll
my
have
God,
to watch
go
it.
watch it. Go watch it.
I felt that way with The Descent. Same.
Oh, interesting.
Correct.
Okay. And then a second, I think I've got to give it to Scream 1.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think it could go to Scream 1 or 2. The Scream franchises just hold such an important place in my heart, always. And the final one would be the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That scene where she's like running away from him in the woods, like towards the end, is the only thing I've ever seen on screen that feels like it was captured from a nightmare, like an actual nightmare I've had, where she's like, do you ever have those nightmares where like you're trying to run away from something and your legs sort of stop working, or they start seizing, or they're not moving as fast as you know that they can? And it's like, yeah. And she just like keeps tripping in the woods and stuff like that. Like, it's so realistic and like, oh, like that one.
Okay, love that.
Yeah, the other day I woke up and my head was at the foot side of the bed. I had turned myself all the way around because I was having nightmare about some monster trying to break into my room.
Wow.
Wow. You were like Homer Simpson, like running and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't let your dogs or your boyfriend sleep in your bed?
Quiet down now.
Wait, let's get into that.
I think it's awesome, for the record.
I have a sleep disorder called dream enactment that causes me to do just that. I thrash around in my sleep.
I know that.
I
Dream
am medicated for
enactment?
it. It is an actual thing.
Crazy.
Yes, I had to go to 2 sleep studies. I got diagnosed by a sleep neurologist with this disorder. It's a real thing.
Wow.
You don't go into your full REM sleep because you're acting out your dreams.
That's what shuts
And so
your
like,
body's actions down. Wow.
So if I sleep with a partner, they will get pummeled during the night.
Wow.
And then my dogs both snore, and they're like ovens.
And they're hot,
so.
yeah.
Oh, do you have a third one? We didn't get a third
No,
one.
we did.
Yeah, that was 3.
Scream,
Okay.
Texas, and
Oh, okay, got it.
Blue
got it, got it.
Ruin,
Oh,
Scream,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Texas Chainsaw
I'm gonna watch
Massacre.
that this weekend.
Okay, this is a very important question. Your favorite song from Jagged Little Pill? One song.
So good. I'm gonna look at it.
Just one?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think Not the Doctor.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Love that song.
Not the,
Which
not the
is
doctor.
interesting because Alanis Morissette has recently said, like in the past few years, sort of like after the Jagged Little Pill musical came out, that she has been going on this like fucking anti Not the Doctor press tour where she's like, they say, is there any song you've regret writing? And she has said multiple times, only one in my life, and it's Not the Doctor.
Why?
What? Oh, I know that.
Because something about the sentiment of like not being there for your partner, being there for your partner is something she doesn't stand behind anymore and like regrets ever feeling that way. And it's like, with all due respect, shut up and sing.
I'd say not the doctor, Right Through You, or classic Head Over Feet.
Yeah, Head Over Feet is great. I also think just like what I was struggling with was like, if there was a song that just, if I had to choose a song that encapsulates the whole album, I think it would be Hand in My Pocket or All I Really Want.
Yeah.
And All I Really Want like holds, like there's just it's so rich of a song. I feel like that's the one. If I could only ever listen to one more song from Jagged Little Pill, like I'd probably choose All I Really Want because there's like so much depth to it, sonically and lyrically and all. Yeah.
Fun.
Okay, best
rapid
Gaga
fire.
album. That's okay. Best Gaga album.
The best Gaga album is Born This Way.
Yes, absolutely.
There's
Right
no
answer.
Right answer.
That was quick.
Do I get a
Okay.
best Gaga song?
Yeah, go for it.
Black Jesus on Men Fashion.
Oh my God. And she did that in your show.
She did.
That was her secret song.
I couldn't. I fell to my knees.
We Got a Million Reasons. I would have rather had that.
Okay, let me ask you. So I assume you're.
A million reasons she performs. No. It's the song that she walked out that she did the bow to.
Oh, I don't remember what that was. It was from The Fame. And I can't remember what the name of the title.
So you're a Gaga fan, I assume.
Yeah.
Do you recall the song she did for the like Confessions of a Shopaholic or whatever called Fashion?
Yeah, of course.
And it's fucking
Heidi Montag did a
amazing.
version.
I have like other people's versions. She pulled it. The Gaga version does not exist anymore.
Yeah,
And I
know.
thought it would be because
I-
she says like I live to be model thin, but in like a recent song she talks about being thin and beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Also, have you heard the Bridget Born This Way? She doesn't care. She performed Fashion. I saw her perform Fashion.
It's one of my favorite songs.
At the original Monster Ball, the one that like before it had a catwalk, it was just like a screen and like a box. She did Fashion in like a gold, like Egyptian sort of outfit.
Then she put another song out called Fashion to like almost like eclipse it.
Yeah, different. Yeah, she's trying to hide Fashion. She's trying to bury
I
Fashion.
don't know why it's so
Fashion
good.
of His Love as well. Fashion of His Love is
And
good
Fashion
as
of
well.
His Love, which is a great song.
Oh, such a good song. Okay, so you were meant to have a carpool karaoke session in your after show.
Oh god, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. And as a castaway, I would be like, what?
Yeah, I know. I just got voted off. Let's sing.
Okay.
I want to know, which Mariah Carey song do you wish you would have been able to sing with Parvati if she would have ever gotten voted out?
So I have the playlist here.
Okay.
I think I was going to do Fantasy. Yeah. That wasn't what she had chosen. She had chosen like Honey or something.
Okay.
And I was like, that's not a karaoke song. So I think that I was overriding that. I had a list of options, but I had narrowed it down to Fantasy or Heartbreaker. But I think I'd gone with Fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
would
I was
be perfect.
do you know how many times I was practicing that in my hotel room before going to tribal council?
What a bizarre fucking thing. I'm glad that it got caught. Oh,
I've got all the footage.
That's your show, folks.
show. That was so fun.
Oh my God. It was so fun having you on here. We really appreciate it. We know your time's valuable and you have a lot going on.
It's
So
not.
this means so much to us that you
Well, in that
take the
case, you're
time
coming
for
back.
this fledgling podcast.
This
We're
was a
so
lot of fun. I really
Yeah.
like to be on the other side of this, even though I never do it. It's so easy. 'Cause
You should
I
do
don't have
it.
to- I don't have to plan anything. I actually
just
have
gotta
notes
show
in
up.
front of
Isn't
me
it
the whole
nice?
time for no reason. I have notes that like don't even make. They're not even notes. Like they're just words that I feel like it's a comfort blanket. I need to have something in front of me. But this was really fun. Thank you so much.
You should do it more because you can show up like Evan does and just talk
And me.
and be great.
There
and
are two
winning.
things I did know that I wanted to bring up. You said Stephen is more discount Ross Matthews to you on the latest season. I thought that was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
yeah.
And then
I
also
stand by that.
the fucking importance and the lack of costuming. You're so right. Harv's
Yeah.
looks on Australia versus the World, so iconic. Every single episode,
Shawnee.
I'm like, girl, where did you get it? Where did you get it? And she answered right away. She's so happy to tell me. I'd go look for it online and be like, oh, I can't afford that. But I would find knockoffs and dupes. But like, yes, like just the iconic things. And now that it's in my head, like I watched the episode after that and was like, yeah, what the fuck is this? It's all lame.
Yeah. There's so many things that need to change about American Survivor. That is like but one. Like there's a
But
list of
one.
15 things I would change before that.
I'm such
But
a
it's
visual
so
person.
important.
And when you said that, it was like,
Yeah.
it clicked. It was like, yes, that is something that also has like pissed me off.
Yeah, that the puzzle in this latest episode looked like a placemat at Rainforest Cafe.
I couldn't believe the puzzle. I
That,
didn't
like
even
you
bring
would
it up
get,
in the recap.
yeah.
I
Oh,
couldn't believe it. It was like a child's coloring book. Like
It was a
truly
kid's coloring
child's
book.
coloring book and like really like not the adult coloring books because the adults have like 54
Yeah.
markers and the children have like 5
We're
markers,
talking about like the
and
coral.
there were 5 colors. Yeah,
It was a
the
turtle,
and a
yeah.
turtle
Yeah.
swimming through the coral.
I can't. You guys are taking such umbrage with it. I didn't even register it. I was like,
Terrible.
why was it
Hated
terrible?
it.
I hated
Just
it
'cause it was
because
basic?
it looked like something from the Rainforest Cafe. It was
It was
just
for
very
babies.
child's
It was for
coloring
babies.
book, like you said. It was for the babies.
This is what I say. This is what I say. My friends, like my friends in real life, they watch Survivor. They don't listen to Drop Your Buffs. Like they barely know I have a podcast. I mean, they do, but they don't listen. So they're completely uninfluenced, and this is who I go to for like real opinions and to get a real sense of like how they're feeling. Like in 47, even 48, they were like, I like this. I'm like, really? Okay. So like, I guess I'm too plugged in. Like I'm too plugged in, but what they've started to say is that after seeing Australia versus the World, they're like, oh, Australia versus the World is a TV show for adults and American Survivor is a TV show for babies.
Yeah, it's a family.
Yeah, which
it's
is-
always been a family show, but now it's like a family show.
But it's like there's a difference between a family show and a show for kids.
Yes.
Like a family show, like Shrek is a family movie because everybody can watch it and get something out of it for them. Where I'm starting to feel like years ago, I started feeling like with American Survivor, it's a show for kids because I'm not getting anything out of it.
The last episode, we were like, it became so obvious to us that the challenges and just like the saturation of the episodes is so bright,
color.
green and colors.
Yeah, so bright.
And they used to like take special care to like dirty up the challenges and
Yes.
stuff, make them look worn. And now they're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fresh coat of paint, bright as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I find with Australian Survivor that they do so well. Not so much in Australia versus the World. I felt like there was a lot of fresh paint on that season, but probably because it was like very quickly thrown together. But I remember watching either Brains v Brawn 2 or Titans versus Rebels or something, and noticing like, oh, look at all the chips out of the paint in the challenges. Like that takes time, and that's like that's an art decision. Like that's an art department decision to make that is going to take resources and time, but adds so much to the visual landscape of the show that's so important.
Because gay executive producer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much,
Okay.
Sean. We really appreciate it. And I think we're going to drop this October 23rd.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, we'll be in touch then.
Have a good afternoon. Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll be in touch.
You
Have a
too.
good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.